Welcome back. As we have been telling you throughout the morning, the 2020 election is unlike anything that we have ever witnessed before. We are seeing unprecedented numbers when it comes to those who have hit the polls early. But what about the unprecedented numbers when it comes to the amount of spending here in our state? Crystal spoke with KRQE political expert Gabe Sanchez about why we are seeing more political ads than usual this year.
Joining us this morning, KRQE's political expert Gabriel Sanchez. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You've been giving us some great insight as to what's taking place on this election day and early voting and unprecedented numbers with the amount of voters that have come out and cast their ballots early. I want to talk about unprecedented numbers when it comes to the money spent in our state and what does it mean. I know a lot of New Mexicans have been bombarded with political ad after political ad. What does that mean?
Well, part of the story is, again, like everything in 2020, we have to talk about the pandemic. And partly because there was no opportunity for most of the candidates to do big in-person events, traditional door knocking, because of fear of spreading the virus, they've spent their money on primarily TV ads. So we've been overwhelmed for many of us, right, with TV ad after TV ad, and that's where most of that money is being spent. And I'll highlight two specific examples. New Mexico's Congressional District 2 down south. One of the tightest races, not just in New Mexico, but nationally. Millions of dollars have been poured into that race, both spent by the candidates as well as outside PACs. All of that money is being pouring out primarily at TV, and it's trying to mobilize voters that would typically be mobilized from big events and in-person activities. Even smaller race, but big numbers, if you think about New Mexico's Senate race to replace John Arthur Smith's seat. Essentially, both candidates, when we combine them, almost $500,000 spent just for a New Mexico State Senate race. So when we talk about that kind of money, it gives viewers hopefully an idea of just how much is on the line with this election, with that much money pouring into New Mexico.
You know, there's many, or I should say several, New Mexico Senate seats up for grabs this time around. Let's talk about U.S. lawmakers, though. Why is it so crucial that we're seeing so much money being tossed into these U.S. races? One, but two, even President Donald Trump even calling down Yvette Herrell and saying that he needs her. What is going on there? Well, the rest of the nation is so focused on the presidential race. Congress is also getting a lot of attention this time around.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, most of our attention when it's a presidential race is at the top of the ticket, but the full balance of power is at stake, primarily in the context of the U.S. Senate. So Democrats have the opportunity, if there is a blue wave, to take control of the Senate, which would be huge. And I think a lot of voters out there are conscious of what that means, primarily because they've seen a nomination of a Supreme Court justice and recognizing how much the balance of power in the U.S. Senate matters to that. So I think that's generating a lot of enthusiasm. We have an open seat for U.S. Senate here in New Mexico, right? So obviously we're part of that overall big picture. And I think the question for a lot of folks is, will we see, if there is a big blue wave, many more seats go towards the Democrats, both in terms of the House and the Senate? Right now, most pollsters suggest that's probably going to happen. It's just a question of how many seats in key races actually get picked up by the Dems.
Gabriel, once again, I want to thank you for breaking down all that is politics here in our state and even across the U.S.
Thank you.